Hello, how's everybody doing today? So a couple of days ago, I had a lady come to me, and she was she was kind of distraught. She was kind of sad, and she said, I'm really struggling with something." And I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "I understand that God is perfect and He's sinless, and He's you know despises bad things and sins, and the Bible says that He's full of light and He has no darkness in Him, and the Bible says that He created everything. So I'm really confused. How did evil get created if God is perfect and He's loving and He's hates sin and full of light and doesn't have any darkness?" And I said, it's a really interesting question, because the thought process of it makes sense, but there's a little faulty issue in when you say created evil. It is true that God created everything and He's perfect and light, and He's sinless and He despises sin, and Jesus created everything and He is full of light and there's no darkness in Him. But you have to understand what evil is. You see, when we see light, we don't measure how dark something is, we measure how bright something is. So the darkness is the absence of light. When we see temperature, we don't measure how cold something is, we measure how warm something is. So cold is the absence of warmth. So we don't measure evil by how evil something is, it's the opposite of good. So evil is the absence of God. Evil is the opposite of God. It says in Ezekiel, I want to say it's like 23 or 24, that he's talking about the prince of I think it's Tyre, and he talks about basically Satan, the one that's basically controlling him. And it said, "You were perfect when you were created. You had all these fine jewels and things that wrapped around you, and you were in the garden, and you chose to leave." Basically, God gave the original angels free will. They were able to choose freely what they wanted to do. And for whatever reason, the devil decided that he wanted to be God. He thought that he could replace God. He thought that he could be himself God. And so he did the opposite of God, because obviously you can't equal God, so you have to do your own thing, which would be the opposite of God. And because he chose to do the opposite of, well, the opposite of good is evil. And it says he took like a third of the angels down with him and things like that. And then when you get into Genesis, it talks about Cain and Abel. And it talks about how evil was creeping up on Cain. Evil was creeping up to him, basically because in the garden, Satan tempted Eve to do the opposite of God, to not listen to what God said, although God talked to Adam and not Eve, and Adam had to teach Eve what was going on, but Eve knew better. So Cain was basically born with that sinful attitude inside of him. I mean, God gave us free will. We have the choice to follow God or the choice to do the opposite of. And so evil was not created. Evil is just the absence of good. Evil is the opposite of good. Kind of like darkness is the opposite of light, or cold is the opposite of warmth. It's the opposite of. So evil wasn't created. It is a substance of what is left when you do the opposite of good, the opposite of God. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about it, just comment below. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you think a friend would like to see this, go ahead and share it with them. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.